Jim Fixx is widely credited with helping to start the fitness boom clear back in the 1970s. He wrote a book that was at the top of the bestseller list for 2 years called The Complete Book of Running. But as you'll soon hear, it wasn't as complete as he thought. If you've never wondered if hardening of the arteries, part of coronary artery disease, is a good idea to combine with heavy exercise, you might want to think about that. Jim Fixx was pretty overweight at age 35. He quit smoking and he started running, pretty quickly getting up to about 80 miles a week. Jim believed that if you could run a marathon under 4 hours, you could eat pretty much anything you cared to. Now, I'd been aware of Jim Fixx for decades, but it wasn't until I read the 2006 book by John Robbins called Healthy at 100 that I kind of got the story behind the story on Jim Fixx. In 1984, Nathan Pritikin, an expert on low-fat, plant-based foods, wrote a book called Diet for Runners. Nathan Pritikin wrote a chapter entitled Run and Die on the American Diet. Now, Jim Fixx didn't just ignore advice from people like Nathan Pritikin. He actually contacted Nathan and complained that his writings were hysterical in tone and that they might scare runners. Well, in fact, Nathan Pritikin told Jim that he had hoped to scare runners into eating a better diet. He also wrote, many runners on the average American diet have died and will continue to drop dead during or shortly after long distance or training sessions. 6 months after Nathan and Jim Fixx had their conversation, a motorcyclist found Jim Fixx's body clad in running gear on the side of the road. He was 52 years old. 52, that's how old I am right now. When he died, of course, a lot of people thought it was the extreme running that was the culprit. What most people probably don't know is that at the autopsy showed Jim Fixx had 3 coronary arteries, more than 70% blocked, with one of those 99% blocked. It is the saturated fats in animal-based food sources that cause those blockages. So as important as exercise is, diet generally trumps exercise. Jim's death was very probably preventable, an early tragic death, but people learned the wrong lesson. People are perfectly designed to run long, slow distances, but they should have been looking more at what Jim Fixx was eating. It's really the meat, eggs, dairy, the processed, high sugar, junk foods that went along with that. Details about Jim Fixx's life and early demise are new to you. I'm not surprised. The problem really comes down to money. A huge chunk of our GDP, gross domestic product, is based on a faulty food system and the rampant amount of disease associated with it. When you simply look at what most chefs use to make meat, eggs, and dairy taste better, well, especially for the meat and the eggs, it's the plant-based seasonings. So you skip the crap and go for the flavor. Hopefully some of the people that see these videos will go and learn more, make the simple changes, and not only live longer, much longer, but have a way higher quality of those extra decades. Well, it's been about 30 years since the motorcyclist found Jim Fixx's body, and people are still dropping out dead at the end of 10Ks and half marathons and marathons, etc. The main lesson, of course, is humans thrive best by far as herbivores. It's very easy to do. Simply stick with a whole foods, all plant-based diet, minimally or not processed organic foods.